sensory meridian response, shortened to ASMR, is a tingling sensation that usually begins on the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and upper spine. ASMR signifies the subjective experience of low-grade euphoria, characterized by a combination of positive feelings and a distinct static-like tingling sensation on the skin. It is most commonly triggered by specific auditory or visual stimuli, and less commonly by intentional attention control. A genre of videos intended to induce ASMR has emerged, over 15 million of which have been published on YouTube as of 2021. Hello everybody. A big welcome back to the channel, and welcome if this is your very first time here. Today we're covering a topic we're all familiar with, and I'm really excited to bring you guys this video and learn a little bit more about the phenomenon we're also obsessed with, either as creators of ASMR channels or as viewers who support those who create these wonderful sleep-inducing videos. So guys, get comfortable, lay back, relax, and let yourself drift away as I whisper facts about ASMR. ASMR has only recently become a well-known phenomenon. Dr. Craig Richard, a professor of biopharmaceutical sciences at Shenandoah University, is one of the few legitimate experts on the subject. He wrote the book Brain Tingles, which provides a history of the ASMR community. According to Richard, it was a 2007 thread on the online forum steadyhealth.com that triggered the conversation. After a user wrote, "Weird sensation, feels good," and described ASMR, many people commented about how they could relate. Okay, so it was in 2007 it really began as a recognized sensation, which is earlier than I had in mind, which we'll get to in a moment. But in saying that, 2007 is still fairly recent for ASMR to become recognized. The first video meant to intentionally trigger ASMR, which featured a woman whispering, and of course abbreviates the term, was uploaded to the channel Whispering Life in March of 2009. And I know a lot of you are going to check that video out here on YouTube. I know I would, and I know I have in the past when I learned of this fact. So what I'll do is link the video in the description for you to check out if you want. It's a short video. It's about 1 minute and 46 seconds. It's a black screen and it's a person simply doing a whispered ramble, but it is credited as being the first, so it's worth checking out. It's a bit like when I did the YouTube facts video and talked about the first ever video on YouTube. You feel compelled to go and check it out, just so that you can say that you've seen it and most of the words Alan came up with make sense for the tingle sensation people get when they hear satisfying sounds. Alan proposed that the phenomenon be named autonomous sensory meridian response. She chose the words, intending or assuming them to have the following specific meanings. Autonomous, spontaneous, self-governing, with or without control. Sensory, about the senses or sensation. Meridian, signifying a peak, climax, or point of highest development. And response, referring to an experience triggered by something external or internal. Alan verified in a 2016 interview that she purposely selected these terms because they were more objective, comfortable, and clinical than alternative terms for the sensation. Alright, so we have a year when ASMR first began to get talked about, which was 2007. We have a year the first ASMR channel was created, which was 2009, and now we have the year the term ASMR itself was coined, which was 2010. And for me personally, my first experience of ASMR on YouTube was back in 2015, I believe. I remember just randomly searching for whispering and discovering the community. I credit Gentle Whispering as the channel I first discovered. Maria, I'm sure you will be familiar with her work. She's one of the big names in the field. Well, I remember a video of her folding clothes. I was just mesmerized by it. And also a sort of library roleplay that she did. So I was sort of a latecomer to the ASMR party, I guess you could say, but I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. What was your first experience of ASMR on YouTube? And if you can remember roughly when it was, even better. And also, when was your first known experience of ASMR in real life? For me, I believe that was probably in my early teens in high school. I remember looking forward to a particular class. It was geography, I think it was. And the reason for that was because the teacher had a soft-spoken voice and it made me feel relaxed. And as well as that, she had a very gentle way of writing on the blackboard. So yeah, I think that was probably my first experience of ASMR in real life. And I'd love to hear from you guys and your experiences. So drop a comment below and let's discuss. In addition to body tingle, people who experience ASMR report that it elicits feelings of pleasure and relaxation. The tingle primarily occurs in the head, but can venture lower in the body too. People have called the feeling brain tingles or brain orgasms, though some take issue with the latter. It implies there's a sexual component to ASMR, but 84% of respondents to a 2015 study reported that there was not. Okay, well, firstly, I will say that I don't experience tingles as such, which is a huge shame, wish that I could experience tingles, even just for one day, to know what it feels like. And secondly, this is something that we could probably discuss long into the night. The fact that sexualized ASMR seems to be creeping in more and more. I've seen posts on Twitter about it and images relating to it regarding to Twitch. For me, ASMR is not a sexual thing at all, and I imagine that's the case for the majority of you guys watching, and I think that's how it should be. But like it or not, there are some people who make it a sexual thing, either the creators themselves or the viewers watching. This study was conducted in 2015 and found 84% said there wasn't a sexual component to ASMR. I feel as though if that study was done today, the figures might be different. It's definitely starting to creep in more and more, but this video would be 2 hours long if I kept talking about this one particular point, so we'll have to move on, but it's definitely worth discussing. And again, feel free to post your opinions on ASMR and it sometimes being sexualized down in the comment section. ASMR is usually precipitated by stimuli referred to as triggers. ASMR triggers, which are most commonly auditory and visual, may be encountered through the interpersonal interactions of daily life. Additionally, ASMR is often triggered by exposure to specific audio and video. Stimuli that can trigger ASMR, as reported by those who experience it, include the following: listening to a softly spoken or whispering voice, listening to quiet, repetitive sounds resulting from someone engaging in a mundane task, such as turning the pages of a book, watching somebody attentively execute a mundane task, such as preparing food, receiving personal attention, for example, grooming, makeup application, and hairbrushing, listening to tapping, typically nails onto surfaces such as plastic, wood, paper, metal, etc. Hand movements, especially onto one's face. Listening to a person blow or exhale into a microphone. Listening to crinkly items such as paper, clothes, and substances such as styrofoam. And finally, listening to mouth sounds, for example, quiet clicking of the tongue. And it wouldn't be an ASMR facts video without discussing our favorite triggers, and that list pretty much covers everything. For me, my favorite trigger is whispering. I've always preferred it to soft speaking, but I do still enjoy soft speaking. On top of that, I've always loved the sound of books and page turning. It's been a long time favorite of mine, as well as gentle tapping sounds. And on the other end of the scale, some triggers I'm not a fan of would be anything to do with mouth sounds, kissing sounds, and eating. Yeah, that's not for me, but everyone has their favourites. I personally enjoy gum chewing videos either, but I know they are pretty popular as well, and I sometimes get requests for more videos like that. But in general, I try to keep the balance, slightly tipped in favor of whispering, but I do try to cater to everybody at the same time. I just want to make my channel as diverse as possible, whilst keeping to one specific type of theme, that being fact videos, quizzes, information-based ASMR, as well as some lighter videos such as games and puzzles. A controversial way to describe ASMR is to compare it to musical frisson, and I think that's how you pronounce that word, frisson. Frisson, F-R-I-S-S-O-N, which is the chills that you get while listening to music. This has been a helpful comparison for researchers to use as a jumping off point over the years, but the ASMR community doesn't love it. It shares some characteristics with frisson, but there are important differences too. For example, while ASMR's tingles occur in response to relaxing situations, frisson usually happens when listening to exciting, rising music. Frisson tends to course through the entire body for just a few moments, while ASMR is localized to the head and neck and can last 30 minutes or more. This was something I wanted to discuss with you guys. I was going to ask if the sensation you sometimes feel when listening to music is similar to that of tingles when you watch ASMR. I thought that it might be, but according to this article, the two are linked but are still different. I think that sensation is probably the closest I will get to the tingles of ASMR, and it is a nice sensation that is triggered by very stimulating and exciting music for me personally. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on the two and if they're connected or if they feel similar, let me know in the comments. I think it's worth discussing. ASMR caught the attention of some advertisers from food and beverages, which are beginning to use recording and mixing technology to emphasize sounds such as packets crumpling or even noisy chewing of an actor, which would normally be edited in commercial ads. In 2016, KFC released a video in which actor George Hamilton, dressed as Colonel Sanders, folded scarves in pocket wipes and chewed noisily fried chicken, reaching two ASMR favorites at once. The marketing director of the brand, Kevin Hochman, told Washington Post, "This is a community that is absolutely passionate and enthusiastic about the sensory experience of sound. For me, it makes a lot of sense because we should try to at least enter this space a little. There is a lot of comfort associated with ASMR, and that's what our food offers." It seems as though ASMR is still on the rise in terms of popularity. Year on year we see more channels here on YouTube being made and more references to it in popular culture. I'm not even anytime soon, or even decline anytime soon. I can only see the ASMR community continuing to grow over the coming years. So yeah, it's a brilliant community to be a part of as well. I must add, everybody in it is super friendly. Everybody is really positive, and I've always received a huge amount of encouragement from viewers as well as other ASMR creators. In a survey of 475 ASMR experiencers, the researchers found the top 4 triggers in order were whispering, personal attention, crisp sounds, which they define as metallic foil, tapping fingernails, etc., and slow movements. As for why people used ASMR media, 98% claimed it was for relaxation, and 82% said it helped them fall asleep. Alright, so we have a top 4 triggers, and it makes a lot of sense. Personal attention videos are hugely popular here on YouTube, as well as roleplays. I would have listed those as the 2 most popular in my mind, but I love that there is such a wide variety of triggers within ASMR. Part of what makes it so fascinating and why it reaches such a wide audience, because we all have differing tastes at the end of the day. But no matter what your favorite triggers are, you can be sure there's great content made just for you. Only within the past few years has anyone begun to study the phenomenon of ASMR, which is not enough time to create and replicate large research projects. A lot of the information we have about ASMR is self-reported by its community. A few studies do exist, but the information is very new. Yeah, and I'm sure more extensive studies will be done on it in the future, the science behind it, etc. And that's definitely one for the future to look out for if you want to understand why we experience ASMR. People with ASMR have reported that they can become desensitized to triggers over time. In a survey conducted with 19,000 respondents, 40% claimed that they had become desensitized to a trigger. Yeah, I believe they call it tingle immunity. It's not something I've looked into, but I have seen it mentioned in videos and in comment sections. Even though I don't experience tingles, there is an element of relaxation felt, as I've mentioned earlier, which can lessen over time if I watch the one video too many times. It kind of loses its effect, and then I will generally move on and try to find another video. But yeah, for sure, tingle immunity wouldn't be a nice thing to experience for those who love ASMR and experience the sensations that go along with it. Some ASMR video creators use binaural recording techniques to stimulate the acoustics of a three-dimensional environment, reported to elicit in viewers and listeners the experience of being in proximity to the actor and vocalist. Binaural recordings sure exactly, but it's not something I personally seek out. In fact, I'm not really sure that I've ever watched a binaural ASMR video, but I can see why some may prefer it, as it must surely enhance the experience. But then there are a lot of people out there who enjoy more basic ASMR. A single mic, for example, kind of old school ASMR. I've seen a lot of people be in favour of that over the newer content that has an absolutely perfect sound and editing, etc. A lot of people actually like a little bit of background noise, whether it's natural sound or a slight bit of white noise from the mic and so on. It comes back to there being an abundance of triggers and personal tastes that makes the ASMR community such a diverse place. And finally, the Whisper Lodge Spa in New York City offers an immersive sensory journey of live ASMR, in which customers are lightly touched with brushes or gentle steam and lay down while people whisper in their ears. There are similar establishments located in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Now that sounds amazing, to be fair. It reminds me of a channel I've seen that focuses on massages, ASMR massaging. I think it's a Bulgarian channel. It's one that I recently discovered, but it's really interesting that there are places you can go specifically for an ASMR experience. I'd love to know what sort of prices they charge for the experience. I can't imagine it'd be on the cheap side. Those sort of personal care spa establishments never are. Okay, that is almost it for this episode of Whispered Facts, all about ASMR. But I really enjoyed learning more about it, and I hope you guys did as well. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Drop a comment down below about some of the points we've discussed here today, as I love hearing from you guys and interacting with the community, and it helps support the channel as well. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so to keep up to date with more videos like this in the very near future. But a huge thank you for joining me, and until next time, rest easy, sleep well, and I hope to see you again very soon for another video, and goodbye for now.